on the plus side, the Republicans have had one piece of one point that they have been hammering for all of this time, and that is that social health care will end up in death panels.
Well, to be honest, that's one of the problems. They consider me alt-right, which I'm not at all, because I hate, this is one of my biggest things, other than the military-industrial complex that's selling out the American people. And of course, once again, we got to get into the conspiratorial, but the pharmaceutical industrial complex, insulin in Texas will cost $189. That same insulin will be $7 in Mexico. So it doesn't make sense. We have a for-profit medical system. I'm not saying that we shouldn't have the ability to, if you're a wealthy person, to have good health care. But I'm saying the system's rigged against the American people.
Oh, totally.
So I hate the pharmaceutical industrial complex. I don't think necessarily medicine should be free, but we should be able to have our insulin the same price as Mexico, or at least in the ballpark, maybe double. Ours is $14 if theirs is $7.
But have you considered just not having healthcare, as we were talking about not having food?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Because that's the alternative, it seems.
Well, in America, though, it is so bad where a lot of people are afraid to order an ambulance. They call an Uber. So, give me a break. So that's one thing. At least here, people aren't afraid to call an ambulance. So
we'll get into why they're not afraid to call the ambulance.
Okay, let's get
into
it.
It's like saying I'm not afraid to insult the aliens.
Yeah.
It's like, they're not going to come down and tell you off.
Yeah,
The ambulance is going to arrive.
But regardless, I'm just saying our healthcare is, I believe,
it's terrible.
Well, it's about keeping you sick. It's not actually about keeping you healthy.
It's about keeping you as a paying customer.
And that's why, but Carl, that's why it's such a big deal. And where I've gotten some notoriety is I'm going to a lot of these drag queen story times, where it's for children, right? But this is why. This is kind of the really sadistic thing behind it, is that when the hospitals, and this has been leaked by a guy named Chris Elson, a guy called Billboard Chris, where Boston Children's Hospital, where they're having private things.
We covered this.
Yes, where they said, now we like this because we have a lifelong patient.
Yeah, $100,000 for the surgeries and then a lifelong dependent.
And then not only that, because they have to dilate their whatever, their wound or the mastectomy or this and that, and the complications of it. They said it's over 60%, which I bet it's probably 90% of people have complications after the surgery. So my point is, they love it. They love taking gender dysphoria, because everybody has a mental health problem. You probably have a little one. I probably have a little one. But these people have this serious mental health problem, and then they try to solve it by giving you a physical,
my lifestyle
surgery
is making me depressed. Oh, take this drug. That's not the answer.
And that's the other thing, too, is they'll give you an antidepressant for anything. And in the antidepressant, when you watch the ad, here in America is one of the only countries where pharmaceutical companies can actually advertise. In every advertisement, they'll have, everybody knows it's a cliche, people on a mountain hanging out or having fun. But then, they talk about the side effects. May cause suicidal idealization, make me hair loss, make, no erection. And just, we just take it. Nobody cares. So literally a kid will go, I'm depressed, I'm suicidal. Well, here's a pill that might make you more suicidal. That'll fix it.
And this is the problem with private healthcare. But of course, there is also a problem with social healthcare.
Yeah.
It doesn't work.
No, that's what I'm saying. I think there has to be, I don't know the answer, but there has to be some sort of...
There must be something.
There has to be something in the middle, some private... Because basic stuff, like insulin and stuff, I feel like that could be socialized. But, cancer or surgeries or elective surgeries, then you could charge more. But I don't know. I don't know how to solve it. I don't want to act like I do.
No, I don't either. But I thought we'd just go over how the Republicans, they've got one thing right, and that's that the social healthcare will result in death panels. Because it did. But before we go on, and worse actually, they've been predicting for years, and I always remember when I was more left-wing, thinking, no, that's ridiculous, how could that be the case? And then just time marched on, and things kept happening. And so, for example, people were like, well, the lockdowns for we'll get to it. Right, yeah. Before we start, go over and support us on lotus.com and go and watch our new series, Symposium. This is a philosophical series talking about the conceptions of political freedom. And so let's talk about how the NHS has affected our political freedom. This is from the government. Lockdown was the only way to stop the NHS from being broken. Oh, the NHS.
Wait, what?
We have what we have in this country, right? There was an old saying that Prussia was an army with a state attached. Well, we are a national health service with a country attached.
Okay.
Right, the NHS is the only important thing in this entire country. And we will literally lock everyone down, create impending food shortages, make sure that rates of depression and self-harm suicide skyrocket through the roof. We will retard the intellectual development of children if it only saves some money on the NHS.
Yeah. Oh,
Do you understand?
And we're going to go outside and bang on pots and pans every night and say, oh,
Yeah.
thank you so much. I mean, listen, it's like my buddy Cassidy Campbell had a joke in one of his, he had, and I'm going to say it wrong, but it's like, nuclear war is necessary if it'll save just one life. You know, I mean, it's like, what? What does that make sense?
That's literally this, right? If we didn't have a lockdown, our health service would have been overwhelmed. Oh, well, that's okay then. That's okay. All of the missed cancer screenings. If it saves one NHS department.
Yeah. And isn't that the red flag? It's like, oh, this whole healthcare system was going to crash if we didn't do this. If we didn't, shut everything down. It's kind of like that makes you go, huh? What is that? That don't make no sense.
Unless we acted, the NHS would be broken. I don't care. I don't care at all. We are not supposed to be here to service the NHS. The NHS is supposed to be here to service us.
Oh, well, and tell me this, because I'm not that familiar. The NHS, do they have the state-funded transition surgery? Can you get it for free here?
Yeah, I believe it's.
It
is state funded on the Tavistock.
Yeah,
Center.
I'm wondering. Yeah, don't get me started on Tavistock. Oh my gosh. I mean, but my point is, it's like when you look at this and you look at this system, the NHS, saying that it would not have made it if they didn't have the pandemic. I mean, I just said it earlier. That makes me raise a lot of red flags.
It's a really big concern.
I mean, that's
it?
like, and so why do you think all of a sudden now, because of that little, timeout, we're just going to come back stronger than ever? I really don't have a lot of,
which is not what happened.
No,
that's not what happened at all. And but that's exactly right, isn't it? It's they look at this the total wrong way. They're like, well, look, I've got a spreadsheet here, and I've got to get this spreadsheet balanced. Your cancer treatment is just going to have to wait. That's just going to have to wait. You're not important here. And you see so many strange decisions being made like this one, right? Universities have been told they must limit the number of medical school places this year or risk fines. We are struggling with staff shortages for the NHS. And they're like, yeah, but you can't hire too many doctors or we'll fine you.
Wait, what?
Right.
So I'm saying, if a kid could academically qualify for medical school, get him in there.
Well, you would think.
I know.
That would be normal.
But see, this just shows you how sinister they are. I mean, they're not even trying to stop licensed doctors, which they are. They're licensed doctors in America. If you speak out against, you get your license taken away. But I'm saying now they don't even want the students to go to the school. Next thing you know, they're not going to give them loans to go to.
Why wouldn't they want them
to? Because
what's the bureaucrat's concern?
Because it's not multicultural enough?
No, because it costs money.
Oh,
right?
Okay.
Medical school places are capped to limit the cost of doctor training, with the taxpayer paying £160,000 towards the cost of each student. And so literally the bureaucrats are like, no, that costs us money. Just bring in foreign doctors. So some foreigners pay.
Oh, wow. That's how they want to do it. Wow. They want to outsource. Exactly. They want to insource the doctors.
Exactly. Because
wow.
that costs us money. That's our budget. We can't afford this. Just get the foreign doctor and God knows what his training was like. It doesn't matter what the doctors of the Congo are like. We need more.
Yeah, but this is really what they want, Carl. And they've said this, the conspiracy, we keep talking about that, but they really want you, and I think this is in the near future. You look at in America, we have CVS, the pharmacy, it's like everywhere. But they basically want you, and they're going to trick people into thinking that it's a great healthcare, where you're going to go into a room and you're going to have a screen in front of it. You're going to take your blood, you'll weigh you, you'll be able to do it basic. There'll be a nurse practitioner. Yeah. And on the screen will be a doctor, and it'll be like a panel of doctors. It'll be 5 doctors. They're going to say, oh, this is your medicine. And people are going to think, oh, you're getting great healthcare because you're talking to 5 doctors in New York City or something. Yeah. But that's really what it's going to be. There's not even going to be that many doctors. You're going to be talking to a literally digital screen.
Yep.
And that's how, because these doctors aren't even allowed to prescribe stuff unless it's accepted by, whatever the pharmaceutical industrial complex, whether Pfizer. They can't even give you off-label uses for medications for coronavirus. You know what I mean? It's ridiculous. It's
mad. And the reason that they're concerned about the budget is because we spend an unbelievable amount of money on the NHS. It's actually kind of ridiculous. It's £15 billion a month.
Well, that's what we get. That's what America gives to the Ukraine. So that's not, that's not that much.
Yeah, but we spend it every month.
I know. No,
and we've been spending it every month for decades. It's crazy how much money the NHS costs us. And so, okay, fair enough. So we've got a really poor service that's failing.
What's the population?
70 million.
And they're sending $15 billion a month. Wow, that does not add up.
Yeah, exactly. And they're like, we can't hire new doctors.
70 million is a lot, but that just, wow, that just doesn't.
It's mad, isn't it?
Yeah, that doesn't seem like.
It's really mad, and I'm not even joking. And so there are people who are like, look, right, this socialized healthcare, I'm a bit worried it is going to end up, 67.33 million.
Okay, yeah, well,
so
roughly around it, yeah.
But there are people like, I'm a bit worried this is going to end up in death panels, like the Reverend Ian Greenshields, moderator of the Church of Scotland. Scotland recently said, look, I'm worried that they're going to view assisted suicide as an opportunity for cost saving.
They already are.
Exactly.
They already are. Did you see that one vlogger, though, from France? She went to Belgium, and Belgium actually denied her, thank God, because she has I don't know, it was a big story. She has multiple
depression, wasn't it?
Yeah, she has multiple personality disorder, and one of her personalities, she wants to kill herself. So they didn't. But what Belgium said is they said, we're sick of being a graveyard for the French, because all these people from France are going there for the assisted suicide. I mean, just like, what, guys? I get it if you have terminal cancer. Like it's like I understand why it maybe should exist, but people are going there because they're depressed. I mean, in Canada, they're actually recommending that. There was
we'll get to that.
Okay,
we'll get
please,
to that. Right? But you are right. I can totally understand the argument. Okay, look, you've got terminal cancer. You've got like a month to live, and you're going to be in agonizing pain for the whole month.
Yeah, I mean,
I can totally understand. Just pick a day and get it over with. That's totally sensible. But if you're just a depressed person, and you're like, yeah, my doctor's like, well, it'll save him money.
There was a guy that was going to be homeless. There was a guy who's but you're in a social state of Canada. You can get social services. They'll help you find a house. And they're like, no, that's a good enough reason. Here's the needle. Goodbye.
But I'm looking at my spreadsheet, and that costs money, whereas this saves us money. So why don't you just kill yourself?
Well, they do look at us like dollars and cents, so that's not...
I'm not even joking. This is a medical report in Canada, right, from 2017, said that medical assisted death could reduce the annual healthcare spending across the country by between 37.4 million and 136.8 million.
Yeah, but that's a drop in the bucket compared.
Sure, but look at the way they're looking at you. It's like, look, if we actually encourage them to kill themselves, this saves us all this money. That's how they look at it.
And that's really, guys, this is not a conspiracy. This is not,
No, let's get to the next one. This is not a conspiracy.
Yeah.
They literally say, look, it'll save us money. And in this, they say in 2021, there were 10,064 made provisions, as in government-done euthanasias. And so 10,000 people a year. It's the sixth highest cause of death in Canada now. The government killing people. I just can't get over it.
I mean, being euthanized like they're pets, at the veterinary clinic. I mean, that's just... It's really a harsh, sad reality, and that's what I actually try not to be too black-pilled, because I am. It's hard not to be, Carl.
It's hard not to be.
How are we not? I mean, literally, just they're taking away all of our freedom and autonomy, and then on top of that, if you're sick, they want to kill you with assisted suicide.
Not even if you're sick, if you're feeling a bit down that day.
If your girlfriend breaks up with you, seriously.
Here's a rope, It's like, oh, God.
It's ridiculous.
Anyway, so that's it. The Scottish doctor is probably right to be concerned about it, because, of course, in Scotland, they want assisted suicide.
But another part of this, and I want to make this point, it just popped in my head, a little bit of it, too, is how the state likes to be God. And this is a way where they can play God by determining when you live or die.
Well, remember, the genuine attitude from the elite class seems to be the people underneath us are useless eaters with the IQ of children.
And they said that. They've said that over. Rahm Emanuel has said that we are useless eaters.
And look at the way that they treat us. They talk to us like we've never even read a book, and so it's just like...
Well, I haven't read a book, but most people have, but go
sure.
ahead.
But we didn't go to school or something. And so they're like, well, why don't we just kill them? So, this is a bill that the Scottish Parliament is debating. Repeal the Scottish Parliament, bulldoze it, and build a park over it.
That's what I always think too. If the federal government just shut down, I think it'd be great.
Well, yeah.
I mean, they're talking about, they don't want to shut us down. I'm like, no, shut it down. And when Matt Gaetz was, not confirming the speaker, they're like, the government's going to shut down. Everybody's like, yes, not just libertarians. Everybody's realizing. I hope I say this. I think people are starting to realize that the government is dysfunctional. I think.
Well, that's what Madison's entire point was in the Federalist Papers. Is that, look, basically the government's going to be terrible, so we want to gridlock it so it does as little as possible until people figure out their own problems.
Yeah,
it's literally what you were saying.
And that's how it should be, but...
Well, yeah. But the difference in Britain is that we have, the central government in Westminster, and then we have a bunch of devolved parliaments that are brand new. Mm-hmm. They're like a decade old. And they're filled with insane left-wing radicals like Nicola Sturgeon, who are like, so what we're going to do is what Canada's doing and kill people. It's like, right, that's concerning. But the Scots are, of course, mental. And they're like, no, we can have sufficient safeguards to protect the vulnerable. It's like, right, the vulnerable need to be protected from the Scottish government's euthanasia program. That's where we've arrived at. No. We just need to protect the vulnerable from the doctors with the needles who want to kill you.
Exactly right.
That's where we've arrived at.
And we cannot. So these people that have mental health issues, you're not going to solve it with some physical thing like a double mastectomy or an assisted suicide. It's not going to solve the actual root problem of the mental health issue.
Change your diet. Go and get some exercise.
That's the one thing. No. And I'm not, like I said, I'm not a role model. But they've never recommended diet and exercise. Ever. You've never heard that. As a matter of fact, if they recommended diet and exercise, there'd be some author or some, stupid journalist that'd say, that's racist, that's bigoted,
And they'd be like, yeah, just let the government kill you, bigot.
Saves us some money.
But they say that history shows, though, that the safeguards initially introduced are invariably removed, as happened in Belgium and the Netherlands, both of which have expanded their remit to include the euthanasia of children.
What? Under what circumstances? I guess they have terminal illness? I mean, why would a child...
I don't
Well,
know.
I mean, I'm just saying, how could you ever justify... That's the other thing is, I think the children are the biggest target of this new world order, of this globalism, of this, indoctrination. They're the ones that, maybe because we're not, we're not old people, you and I. I mean,
I'm pretty old. But...
Well, I'm just saying, we're relatively, we're not, we're not, 70s or 60s, but I'm saying we still probably had some indoctrination. At least I know I did.
Yeah.
But now the amount that these kids are under, I'm afraid to have kids. I'm seriously, I mean, I want to have children. I'm going to have children, but I'm saying I'm actually nervous to bring them in this world.
You have to be on guard. You have to be on guard about what they're teaching them.
Because you look at libs of TikTok, I mean, every freaking teacher. I'm actually running for school board in Dallas, Texas, because there was a teacher that this trans teacher they hired in the 3rd grade for an art teacher. They looked at her Instagram. She had all this like deviant child, weird sex art, and she's an art teacher. But that is that she didn't get fired. But and then of course the school board like covered it up. They only told parents that brought awareness. And then on top of that, this is a 3rd grade, the same elementary school.
How old is 3rd grade for people who are not?
Okay, so what is that? I think I don't even know. How old is 3rd grade? 8? Okay, so you're 8 in 3rd grade. This is what's so ridiculous. They have what is called gender inclusivity training in 3rd grade at higher, and they're having an author come speak to 3rd graders that wrote a book about being non-binary to 3rd graders. I mean, it'd be hard for me to argue, oh, you're doing it to a 17-year-old, some seniors or something. I mean, I still don't think that's great, but I could be like, they're adults or close enough. Why would a 3rd grader need to learn about what it's like to be non-binary or gender ideology? Teach them like something that's useful for a 3rd grader.
Might be difficult to get the communist revolution if we don't.
Exactly right.
That's the reason.
If you don't confuse them and cause as much mental confusion as possible, so you don't even know your own sex, you just have this, I'm in the wrong body. It's all about confusing. It's all about trickery, and that's like the thing is like the greatest trick the devil ever did was convincing that the devil didn't exist. Or excuse me. What is it? What is it saying? The greatest trick that the devil ever did was convince you that God didn't exist. And I guess my point is, they don't want you to know the truth, and now they're going to indoctrinate you into thinking that you killing yourself is the best, remedy for your mental health. And kids, your body, it's
you
wrong.
You can transition and you'll be a woman.
Just pick. You can pick whatever you want.
Yeah. So anyway, the Canadians are discovering that actually maybe they need private healthcare because private healthcare, unlike the government, is less likely to want to kill you. Because if they kill you, that's one paying customer down, right? So you've got 660,000 Canadians who are waiting for surgery, and a bunch of them are like, well, we're just going to have to go private because this social healthcare thing isn't working. Of course, Canada has the same problem as Britain, which is just open borders immigration. And of course, in Britain, we have record waiting times for everything. You were saying they call an ambulance. What would be the point? Apparently, in life-threatening emergencies, the average time it takes an ambulance to get there is 11 minutes. So if you were, say, choking to death or something or whatever, you're probably dead by the end of that.
The streets are so small here, though. I mean, maybe they can't fit they can't fit through the streets.
That's nearly twice what it's supposed to be. It's 7 minutes, right?
Wow.
And of course, you've got millions of people who are on waiting lists for operations that they need and things like this, all because of COVID. And essentially, the media now have just forced to say, well, look, we'll love the holy NHS, but why don't you just go private? You can go to the next one, John. Just so you can see. Just go private. You've got no choice. So when an American leftist sits and goes, but what about the NHS? What about the NHS? Well, you can just tell them it doesn't work.
Yeah, it doesn't
you aren't going to get what you want. You're going to be on a waiting list forever, and that's if you're lucky enough to even get seen.
And let me just tell you this, from the great Dr. Fauci, the only thing it takes for you to be healthy is just get boosted. Other than that, as long as you're boosted and you're wearing your mask, you're going to be healthy. So that's the only healthcare you need to worry about.
If you appreciated that segment from the podcast of the Lotus Eaters, you can go to lotuseaters.com to get access to all the premium content we have on the site, such as the premium videos, this one on conceptions of political freedom. If you'd like to find out what else we're putting out, you can follow us on Getter at lotuseaters_com on Getter. Thank you and goodbye.